100% you do not need ever. No, pointless and silly. That stuff is horrible. I promise you, you don't need them. So save your money. Such a waste of money. They suck. They're very expensive. And by the way, no one needs a banana slicers. Just don't. You don't need any of them. You work hard for your money and you don't want to waste it.
Hi there, I'm Leanne, and this is Making My Abode on the Road.
Today we're going to talk about de-influencing RVLIFE items that you don't need. And these are items that I see a lot of RV influencers talking about on social media all the time, and they hype them up all the time, and you just don't need them. And most of them are really a waste of your money. Some of them might not be a waste of your money, but you don't need them to live and thrive in the RV lifestyle. So first of all, what is de-influencing? De-influencing pretty much is just people are starting to notice that they're constantly being sold stuff and stuff that they don't need. So some of us just want to encourage our audience to just be more mindful of what you're buying and what you're being influenced to buy and why you're buying it. You know, don't just buy it because your favorite creator says you need this. You know, if PewDiePie is trying to sell you a banana slicer, and by the way, no one needs a banana slicer. Just don't. You know, don't buy things just because your favorite person says you need it. You work hard for your money and you don't want to waste it. Now, I'm not a hypocrite. I get it. I have influenced many of you to purchase certain items, and I've gotten a commission for it.
Sometimes.
Now, I'm not knocking it, but what I am knocking is the constant peddling of stuff that you don't need that everyone says you need. Plus, I get annoyed every time I watch a video, because I watch a lot of RV lifestyle creators, because I love it. I love this lifestyle, and I love a lot of the creators. But I get tired of every single video trying to sell me something. I don't want to do that here. I will share things that I really like. And I think the RV community, by the way, especially the RV YouTube community, I think does a great job at just, you know, sharing things that work for them. And that's what I want to try to do here. I will share things that I love and things that I think will help you and that have helped us. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with number 1, a tire pressure monitoring system. Now, don't get me wrong. Do you need to monitor your tires? Yes. Do you need an incredibly expensive system to monitor your tires? No. In November, it will be 3 years for us, and we have never purchased a TPMS. We don't plan on purchasing one. We've gotten by, and I don't even like to use that term getting by, because we have done well and we've avoided disasters just on what we do. Anyway, the only thing we use are his eyes, his experience, and your regular old run-of-the-mill tire pressure gauge. Tires aren't the only thing that needs to be monitored. You really need to constantly be keeping an eye on everything that's going on underneath, your suspension, inspecting the tires, inspecting everything around it. There's just a whole lot to it that a TPMS really isn't going to do. Now, if you have a TPMS, you're still going to want to do all that stuff. So a TPMS will alert you about tire pressure and like overheating and things like that, which could prevent a blowout. And it could add a little peace of mind, you know, I mean, but that's an expensive piece of equipment. I mean, does it really offer that much peace of mind? I guess for some folks it does. For us, it just wasn't worth it. You never want to substitute anything, a TPMS or any kind of gadget or anything, for a pre-trip inspection. You don't want to allow that kind of stuff to make you lazy. You don't want to depend on that stuff because it can falter. It can cause some stress too. I mean, if the thing's going off and it's just that maybe it's just faulty. Maybe one of the sensors went out. Maybe the battery died in one of the sensors and it's going off. I mean, how stressful. I can't imagine going down the road, that happening, and nothing's really wrong, but you're scrambling to hurry and get, I don't know. It just seems annoying to me. Now, what you do need at the very least is a tire pressure gauge. You know, just one of the little standard tire pressure gauge doohickeys that you can get pretty much anywhere. And maybe an air pump. So that way if they're low on air, you can just take care of it right before you get on the road. I know a lot of people just rave about having a TPMS. For us, it just wasn't worth it. So, you just take that with a grain of salt. It might be what you need to live this lifestyle. But you can get on the road. Like if you're new, you don't have to have it day one, because there are other, in my opinion, better ways to monitor the tires. And actually, so there was a couple times, 2 times that just my husband doing the inspections and always checking on things have prevented a disaster. One of them was just a flat tire. We had a slow leak, and he was able to just monitor that with his little gauge. And there was a nail in it, in the tire, and we ended up, getting that taken care of before it turned into a disaster. It could have been a blowout. The other situation was the leaf spring thing that attaches it to the frame. I don't know, it's like a piece of metal that attaches the leaf spring to the frame, or like holds it up. Well, that cracked, and apparently that's pretty common. But he was noticing some kind of odd wear, but there was no reason for it as far as, low pressure. Nothing was wrong with the tire, but they were wearing kind of funny on that inside. And next thing you know, one of our last trips, it had worn way, way down. And he was looking and saw the crack. So we got that taken care of right away. Went to a welder in Gunnison, and they fixed us right up. And he went ahead and had them kind of reinforce all the other ones. And so, of course, he's keeping an eye on that. If we had a TPMS, I don't really think that would have it. I mean, because it's not like it alerts you you're going to have a blowout. It just alerts you that either the tire pressure is low, the temperature is getting high. That's it. So you're not going to know until you have the blowout. And there's plenty of people who have TPMS and they've had a blowout. So it doesn't prevent a blowout. The only thing that really prevents it is you inspecting it with your eyes. Number 2, snap pads. Okay. Now don't get me wrong here either. I'm confident that is a great company. I also think it's a great product, but you don't need it. The product has its place. And I think that if you have a Class A, that it's excellent, because since your jacks are kind of way up under there, it's just much more difficult to get up under there and put some blocks. And so I think they're great if you have a Class A. Now, if you have a 5th wheel, I just think they're kind of pointless and silly. I will say I do think they look great though. Instead of like our yellow blocks or the orange blocks, they do look really sharp. Very nice. The other thing about a Class A is that your jacks don't have to come as far down as like a 5th wheel does. So you don't have to put any other blocks under there. The snap pads are perfectly fine. Now with a 5th wheel, you're still going to need to put blocks under there. Because you don't want to, first of all, extend your jacks all the way down. It'll make it more wobbly. It's wear and tear on the jacks. So even with snap pads, you would still need to put stuff under there. So it's just kind of pointless. You already have more surface area on the jack itself because of the round plate. But then when you put the blocks under, it gives you more surface area. So the snap pad, once again, is pointless as far as the surface area with a 5th wheel. The other thing is, unless you're using nothing, I mean, you don't want to use nothing, because putting plastic or wood or something underneath the pads insulates you. So if there's like a thunderstorm or something and lightning cracks, you're not going to zap your rig and destroy it or get electrocuted or whatever. So since you're already using either plastic or wood or whatever it is you're using for blocks underneath your jacks, you just really don't need the snap pads for insulation. So save your money, unless you're in a Class A. If I had a Class A, I would be getting snap pads. I'll just say that. Now these next 2, 100% you do not need ever. I'm speaking from experience on this. We have been full-time, 3 years in November. I have tried many, many things. And now what we're doing now is the only thing that actually really works. Now, in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to trying something new. if things go wonky and start to not work well, then I would be willing to try something else. But for now, it's working great and I'm very happy.
Happy, happy, happy.
We stopped using these two things a little over a year ago, and our black tank has never been better. It's healthy. It doesn't stink. There's only 2 occasions that it will stink, and it's usually when it needs to be dumped, because that sucker's full, and that's the only time. That time, and then usually right after we dump it, and that's just because, I mean, you got everything out of there. Water is your friend. You need water in there to keep the smells from coming up. So when you first dump it, it will kind of stink. But those are the only 2 occasions. Every other time, it doesn't stink anymore. So let me get into these. Number 3, special toilet paper. The RV specific toilet paper, and even just the thin John Wayne toilet paper, the 1-ply stuff that don't take crap off nobody. John Wayne toilet paper. We don't use that anymore either. And I've noticed that you're starting to hear this a lot more from RV YouTubers, that they just use regular toilet paper. And had I known, oh my gosh, I would have done it from the start, because that stuff is horrible. It's painful, first of all. I mean, it's like using cardboard. It's awful. That stuff is just awful. So we did get a clog, a mountain, the pyramid. We got one of those. And I really do think that it was just from not using enough water. But I also think that it could be partly from using the very thin toilet paper and the pods. I think all 3 of those things just caused a big problem for us. Since we switched to regular toilet paper, we use Angel Soft now. We have not had any problems. Now, that's not the only thing that you have to change, so keep watching because I have more on this whole situation. Number 4, black tank treatments. You don't need them. I promise you. You don't need them. I'm sure there's some great companies out there. They do actually do what they say they're going to do. I mean, they're supposed to break stuff down, and they do in fact break stuff down, but you don't want to do that. The only thing that you absolutely 100% need for your black tank is water, water, water. Enough water. So I mentioned before about the clog that we had, and it was a doozy. I mean, it took a couple days to get rid of it. We had to end up getting one of those wands that you go in from the top with to add more water. Funny enough, water is what ended up fixing it. Like I said, I don't know what even caused it. I think just not having enough water, because we didn't leave the black tank open. Never, ever, ever leave your black tank open. We didn't do that. We always kept it closed. So I don't really know what happened. And it always stunk. It was so gross. It was starting to get on my nerves. I tried all kinds of different treatments. Nothing was working. So I ended up seeing a YouTube video. It was Enjoy the Journey. They had a clean tank guy. I think he's like the owner or something. I don't know. The clean tank, where they come and they clean out your black tank. They had him on their show, and I learned so much. I will link that video down in the description, because I learned a ton from that video, and I started realizing, geez, this is probably what my problem is. So I did what they said. I can't remember the guy's name. I apologize. But like I said, I will link that video in the description. But he was talking about how the tank treatments, probably, I think he was pretty specific with the pods, but tank treatments break it down. Yes, they break it down. But when it breaks down, it makes like this gelatinous kind of sticky peanut butter looking stuff. And it sticks to the sides of the walls. And that's what is stinking. And like when I heard him say that, a light bulb just went off, because I could see it like when we would flush. And I was like, what is that gel stuff? That is so weird, And then I would also see it when we would dump, like on the elbow, sticking to the sides of the elbow. And I was like, what is this? He talks about a solution that Clean Tank, they give you a recipe for it, totally free, that you don't even have to buy this stuff. It's a mixture of pine sol, water, and Calgon bath beads. It smells amazing when you mix it all up. So I started using that. Things got so much better. I mean, clean as a whistle, really. now. Even the elbow got cleaner, and we didn't like clean it, just got cleaner naturally. We started flushing our tank more regularly. In fact, every single time we dump, we do the flush. It's just a built-in system that sort of pushes water in and rinses it all out. There are plenty of videos on YouTube about that. We have a built-in system. I know not everyone does, but there are other ways that you can flush your system without having a built-in system. So search YouTube, you'll find tons of great videos about that. We started using more water because that was one thing that he stressed. Water, water, water. Since we made those changes, we have not had any problems. And let me tell you what, we have accidentally left the black tank open 3 different times. It had been open for quite a while. And I only realized it because I'm like, we should be having to dump right now. It usually is about every 3, sometimes 4 days that we have to dump. No problems, no pyramids. All we did, we just closed it, filled it up with water in the bathroom and just by flushing. And then we were able to dump. So I really think that Calgon, I think that's it, because I actually stopped using the whole solution and now I only use Calgon. I just put half a cup down the toilet after we dump and flush. And so what it's supposed to do is soften the water, and it sort of creates like a non-stick on the walls of the black tank, and then everything flushes out. I've noticed that when I use the flush, the built-in flush for the black tank, that water, once it's been going for a little while, at the end it's crystal clear. And it's like, that never happened before. So I feel like the proof is in the pudding, and that stuff is cheap as long as you don't buy it online. If you try to buy it on Amazon, I don't know what, somebody went and bought it all at Walmart and they're trying to sell it on Amazon because it's only $2.98 at Walmart for a decent sized box. I want to say it's like 16, no, I think it's maybe like 20 ounces, 24 ounces, something like that. But it's $2.98. Go to Walmart. But I will say, I don't know if there's a shortage, because we went to probably 6 different Walmarts across the country when we were coming back from the Midwest, back out to Colorado. And I couldn't find it anywhere. So as soon as I found a store that had it, I grabbed 4 boxes and I'm keeping stocked up. I just want to point out too, if you're having odor, constant odor coming from the black tank, something is wrong. It could be a seal. You know, I know a lot of people don't actually do number 2 in their toilet for some reason. It's okay, you can do that. Anyway, there's a train. They're so loud. Lately, we have been by so many RV parks with a train, but this one's close. It's probably like 50 feet away, maybe 100 feet. And it's right by a crossing where they have to... So if you're having odors, that shouldn't be happening. Something's wrong. Just try something new.
The train distracted me, but I just wanted to be clear that if you don't do number 2 in your black tank and you're having strong urine odors, it could be a seal or even a defective toilet. In 2021, there was a recall on the Dometic 300 toilets because of a seal issue, so just something to be aware of.
Let's move on to the next one on the list. Number 5, rubber gloves. You do not need to waste your money on boxes of rubber gloves for dealing with your sewer hoses.
She has no gloves.
That gets old. First of all, they don't really work that well. Half the time people double up because they break, and then what happens when they both break? They're just... such a waste of money. They suck.
No glove, no love.
So do this instead. Go to Harbor Freight or some kind of, Harbor Freight's everywhere. So I would say Harbor Freight because that's where we got ours. But go to Harbor Freight and get some hazardous material gloves. They're big. They go all the way up to your elbows. They're easy to get on and off. My husband can just kind of slip them on without touchy. And they work great. And we're not wasting all kinds of money. They're going to last a long time. They're really thick. They work better. They don't break. They're less expensive, and it's less waste. And they're more sanitary. My husband just puts them in a plastic shoe box all by themselves, so they're not touching anything else and getting icky. Okay, this next one, I haven't necessarily seen RV YouTubers pushing, but in the RV Facebook groups, so many people have replaced their perfectly good RV ovens with, like a big fancy air fryer or toaster ovens or convection oven. And you just don't need to do that. And typically it's just that they're afraid to use it, a gas stove. I don't really know why. It's kind of like that whole fear of using an Instant Pot thing. It's unreasonable. It's okay. They're made to use. It's just like the gas stove in your house, so don't be afraid to use it. They work really great, but I know some of them aren't as good as others. I know another reason that people like to replace them is that they've cooked in them and burnt a lot of food. That happened with us. So I went ahead and got a thermal shock pizza stone. Here comes another train. Ugh. I know some people just have different preferences, and that's totally okay, but just don't be afraid to use it. It works just like I said, your gas stove in your house. It works exactly the same. They're perfectly safe. They have come a long way. They cook a lot better. They're bigger. They're just much more like what's in your home. I'd hate to see you go and buy a brand new oven or some other kind of gadget when you just bought this brand new RV and spent all that money, based on some fear mongering on the internet. I use mine all the time, just like I did at home with my gas stove in the house. And like I said, I did burn some stuff in the beginning, but I got a thermal shock resistant pizza stone, and it's rectangular, so it fits in the bottom of our oven perfectly. I will leave a link in the description. I know in the Facebook group, by the way, people always suggest to get a pizza stone, and I've seen a lot of people say that they got one and it shattered, which is really weird to me because these ovens don't get that hot. That shouldn't be happening, but I think what maybe happened is that they didn't buy a thermal shock resistant pizza stone. That's what I got. It's not cheap. I think it's like $40, but I will leave a link in the description. Mine is working great. Love it. Don't burn anything. It's fantastic. Number 7, a water filtration system. You do need to filter your water, but you don't need an incredibly expensive, complicated water filtration system. A good old reliable, the CAMCO, the one that just hooks up to your hose. They're readily available. They're all over the place. Walmart carries them. They're Walmart's brand, by the way. We tried their, dupe, I guess. Twice they exploded. So I would say don't go with that one. Stick with the CAMCO. It works very well. They're affordable and lightweight, takes up hardly any space, and the most important thing is that it does the job. So we filter our water from the source, but then we also have a water filter that we just put in the refrigerator. It's just a Brita, so that just gives us a little extra. Our water always tastes good. We never have any issues. Number 8 on this list of things that you do not need, expensive RV memberships. If you're new and you're just getting started, I know it can be so overwhelming because there's all of these memberships. Join this, join that. It's great, yada, yada. But you don't have to have it to get started. In fact, we didn't have anything for at least the first year. There are so many of them, 1,000 Trails, Harvest Host, which is also Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome combined now. KOA, Good Sam membership. There's tons of them. Escapees. There's tons of things you can join, and you don't need any of them. With so many choices, it can be difficult to decide, what's right for you and your style of travel and just your situation in general. So when you're first starting out, we suggest, just wait, see what your style is like, because you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to go every week like they do, or I'm going to stay, 6 months in one place. But that might change once you get started. So I would just suggest go 3 months, right? Figure out your style, figure out what your situation is going to be, and then maybe start looking into some of these programs. For us, we got the Boondockers Welcome, and this was before they merged with Harvest Host. It's very, very inexpensive. I think Harvest Host is fantastic, but we had it for 2 years and didn't use it one time. And that was just because of our style. And not really our style, but my husband's job, we have specific places that we need to go, and we're on a time schedule. And so going to a Harvest Host, a lot of times they're a little bit out of the way. You know, you might have to go 30 miles off of the interstate, let's say, just to get to them. So for us, it just didn't work. Now, in the future, I would love to stay at some Harvest Hosts and join back with the program. But I went ahead and canceled because it just wasn't working for us. So don't waste your money. Just figure out what's going to work for you and then, try it out. The only memberships we have now is we have the Good Sam membership. And I don't know all the benefits. I just know that we get 10% off nightly stays at tons of RV parks across the country. But one thing with the Good Sam, if you stay a week and you get the weekly rate, you won't get the 10% discount. You only get it on the nightly rate. So if you stay 6 nights, you'll get the discount. But if you stay 7, you don't get it because you're already getting a discount. So they don't really let you double up. We also have 1,000 Trails, but we did not, and we were never going to happen. Not getting that big $10,000, $20,000, $5,000 package, not happening. We have the camping pass. It's just an annual camping pass. It paid for itself in one stay. One stay, we stayed 1 week. You can add the different regions for 1,000 Trails. It pretty much just goes around the edge of the United States. Lots in Texas, lots on the coast. There is one in Colorado, Blue Mesa Rec Ranch. Love it. It's my favorite. The internet service, you're not going to have internet, but you're going to be out in the mountains in this big, beautiful Blue Mesa Lake. You're going to love it. But anyway, well worth it. And you're not in a contract. You can pay that and you can not do it next year. It's highly recommend looking into the camping pass. If you're interested in going to 1,000 Trails at all, just look up the camping pass. Number 9, collapsible kitchen crap. Okay. And it's crap. I'm telling you right now. Maybe there's some good stuff out there. I've tried it, and for me, it sucked. I'm going to take this a step further and say that you don't have to swap everything out for plastic. If you're new and you're getting started and you're starting to get rid of stuff in your house and you've got, stainless steel bowls or stainless steel whatever, or glass this and glass that, you don't have to switch it all out for plastic junk. Of course, weight is a concern, but you don't have to go nuts. At the very beginning, when we first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get all plastic. I have to switch all my stuff out. And it was very discouraging for me because I hate plastic, first of all. I try to do better and not have our food touching plastic because it is poison, although I live in a plastic box. But anyway, at least my food's not touching it. I wanted the lifestyle, and I was like, okay, I have to make sure that we're not overweight. So I swapped everything. I had a collapsible colander, junk. I couldn't hardly wash it. Something about plastic, like stuff just sticks to it. And if you don't have a dishwasher, it just doesn't get clean well, right? Oil sticks to it. I also bought the collapsible measuring cups. Those lasted all of about maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. They just fell apart. And I could put them back together, but it was like I scooped flour and it just fell apart. I had some measuring spoons too that were collapsible. Total crap. And then after that, I switched to just some it actually wasn't plastic. It was something or other. It's like some kind of material. I don't know what it's supposed to be, natural material, but it's basically plastic. And those cracked. Just from dropping them, you accidentally drop stuff and they cracked. So now I'm back to stainless steel. So I wasted all that money. You know that saying, right? Like a poor man buys twice. That's me. That's what I have done like so many times with this. I totally bought into that though, thinking that I had to get all of this stuff and switch it all out. And had I just kept what I had to begin with, I would have been fine because we're still not overweight, even with having glass food containers and mason jars and stainless steel stuff.
I just wanted to mention real quick that we haven't had anything break because everything is organized in a way that prevents breakage. So, basically we just have everything packed tightly, but even our Corelle dishes haven't broken. Now, that's not to say they won't, and plastic is a way to prevent that. But for us, the quality of things that we use every day matters more to us than possibly having to deal with a broken dish. Hopefully that makes sense.
I do love my collapsible bucket though. That thing, okay, if you're going to get anything collapsible, get the collapsible bucket. Speaking of spending twice, so my refrigerator organization video, Dollar Tree, definitely have a love-hate relationship with Dollar Tree. Those bins with the handles that I thought were so great for the cheese and the meat, which they were. They were great, but it is pretty thin plastic, and like all the meat and all the cheese was kind of heavy, and people were just pulling. I knew it, so I was always just careful with it, but my family just pulled it out and just holding it just cracked. I mean, it was so aggravating. It wasn't even that we didn't even have them that long. So I went to Walmart and I got some acrylic bins that have a little handle. They're great. They're not going to break that easily. I mean, I think it would take a lot to break these things, and they were under $5 each. So there you have it. So my suggestion to you, if you are new and starting to get rid of stuff and trying to decide what you should keep and what you should get rid of, first of all, know your weight limits, because you do want to be aware of that. You don't want to bring in a bunch of weight. So know those numbers and understand those numbers. I'm not going to get into that because I don't really fully understand it. My husband does. So he tells me what, is good and not good. And just assess everything you have. Think about it before you just, get rid of it on a whim or buy something on a whim because someone said you need this, because this is going to be too heavy. Just think about it. Just relax. Keep your stainless steel measuring cups because you'll be sorry. And you can make sacrifices for weight in other areas, plastic bins for things, and there's just other ways. There's other areas you can sacrifice. Get rid of books. I love books, but get rid of your books and put them all on Kindle or Audible. Books are heavy, so that's one way you can just swap it out. Okay, number 10. Now, I promise you do not need a tabletop ice maker. We had one, and it was a huge waste of money for my ice-loving family. We totally regret that purchase that I was influenced to buy, and it wasn't cheap. Those things are so expensive. So click this video on your screen, and I'll tell you all about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Over there.